So for this thrift flip, I'm going to turn this old t-shirt into a pillow, and I want it to be in the shape of a heart around the little piggies. So I decided to just draw half of the heart, and then I could copy the other side as a mirror image. And I used a ruler to help make sure that I hit the middle so it wasn't too lopsided, and I only cut out half at a time so that I could flip it to the other side to trace. That way it would be symmetrical. So now I have one side of my pillow done, and I just need to trace the other heart onto the other side. I could have cut them at the same time, but I wanted to make sure they were really even. I made sure also to leave some space for a hem because I will be turning this inside out, and I want to make sure that I have enough room to do that. So I just accounted for about a 1/4 inch, half inch extra. And I turned it inside out when I took it to my sewing machine and just followed along the line. And I made sure to stop a little early before connecting to my beginning stitch so I had room to stuff the pillow, which is very important. Don't forget that step. And then I turned my pillowcase right side out and was ready to stuff. And I got this stuffing from a secondhand craft store, but I also saved my scraps from other sewing projects and cut them up into little pieces and all my thread, and I mixed that in with the regular stuffing. It's a great way to use fabric scraps that would just go in the landfill because you can't even tell that they're in there, but they do feel strange if you just use them, so I mix it with regular stuffing. And then I was ready to sew the top closed, so just fold it down so that both sides have a nice clean edge. And then I just did a regular stitch, and my first one was a back stitch to make sure it was locked in tight, and then I sewed it all up. So you could stop here, but I wanted to be a little extra and make some tassels. I'd never done this before, but I took some yarn and wrapped it around my fingers and made this little figure 8 shape. And then I sewed the knot in the center so that it was nice and secure. And that's what I'm doing right now, is sewing the knot in place. And then all you have to do is trim the bottom half so that it looks like this little frilly piece. And I measured to make sure I had enough. I used about 20 of these little yarn tassels, and then I just hand sewed them all on. I ended up trimming them because I thought they were a little long, but I think the pillow looks hysterically cute, and I'm really happy I decided to do the tassels. And this yarn was also secondhand from the secondhand craft store, so if you have one of those nearby, or you have a grandma or a neighbor or someone who knits, see if you can get some secondhand yarn from them, because chances are they have a ton that they aren't using. So for my next thrift flip, I'm going to take this tote bag, which used to be a t-shirt from the Katati Accordion Festival. This is from the year I was born, actually. And it was too big of a shirt, so I turned it into a tote, and now I'm turning it back into a shirt. So I used this shirt that I already have and know that I like the size of as a measurement. Unfortunately, I used a shirt that was pretty stretchy, so I'd recommend using one with a similar amount of stretch because that made it really difficult at the end, and the shirt is a little tighter than I'd want it to be. So keep that in mind to use material with a similar stretch. But here I'm just trimming off the edges that I had sewn previously to make it a tote bag, and I'm just marking an armpit hole to make sure that my arms can fit, and matching the graphic on the front so that it's centered because I didn't want it to be crooked, and just prepping it to sew down the sides for the arms. And I wanted to make sure that it matched the green top that I had before, which was kind of an issue, like I said, because this fabric doesn't stretch as much, so I did have to do some adjusting later, but just matching the holes of another shirt is a great way to turn some extra fabric into a new top. So then I brought it to the sewing machine and just started from the bottom and sewed all the way up to where my armpit hole was, and made sure I did a back stitch so that it wouldn't unravel. And I did both sides and make sure to do it inside out. I'm gonna have to redo 2 of the sides because I didn't take into account that the tank top that I was using to measure is stretchy and this material isn't. This is what we're working with. It's just really tight, so if I loosen it a little bit on each side, then it'll be fine. It should be working much better. And then I'm gonna cut a better neckline. Let's see if I can even get this off. So here I'm just using a seam ripper and undoing what I just did to make it a little looser. If you don't have a seam ripper, some tiny scissors will do the trick as well. And making it a little looser actually worked pretty well. It didn't need a whole lot more fixing after that, and I think it actually fit pretty well. And all I needed to do now was attach the straps. And I know it's a pretty like rugged tank top, but it's not going to be anything fancy that I wear. I think it'd look cool with some ripped jeans or something kind of casual with a denim jacket. It's just a pretty cool accordion shirt. So before this next thrift flip, I just want to make something really clear. I bought this tank top bralette kind of thing about a year ago. Altering it was my intention to make it to fit me. Since buying this, I have learned a lot from fat positive people in larger bodies, and I think it's really important that we don't buy things from thrift stores that are not in our sizes. I mean, obviously with some adjustments, like this shirt is a little big on me. I could wear it in a smaller size if I wanted to. It is something that I wear and I don't need to alter. Whereas if you're a person in a smaller body and you buy a pair of jeans that are like a 14 or a 16 to alter them to make them smaller to fit you, that's taking a piece of clothing out of thrift stores that someone in a larger body could wear. And a lot of people in larger or mid-sized bodies have a hard time thrifting because there's just less options for them because of this altering of clothes. So I think it's just important to point out that yes, I bought this bralette with the intention of altering it to fit my size, and in the future I don't think I would do that. Because I already bought it, I felt like fixing it to fit my size was something that was okay and appropriate, but in the future I don't think it would be, because I want to give people in other size bodies the option to thrift things and shop sustainably. I hope that this makes sense. I don't want anyone to think I'm coming for them if they choose to alter clothes from thrift stores. Just be considerate when you're shopping to, if you find something in a larger size that you think is cute but it doesn't fit you and you'd have to make a lot of alterations to fix it, leave it for someone else, because I think it's important to let thrifting be an inclusive experience, and it's really hard for it to be when people like me are buying things that don't fit them to alter. So just keep that in mind when thrifting, because I want everyone to be able to have the same opportunity. So this is a little bralette tank top that's got buttons down the front, and it fits me perfectly on the straps, but it's just a little too big in the back because there's no elastic anymore. I'm just pinning it myself because I didn't have anyone to help me, and I used a safety pin to mark where it was the tightest spot for myself. And then I just laid it on the ground inside out and made a little mark of the place in between where the safety pins were so that I knew where to sew it on my sewing machine. If I were to do this again, I would have done it more at a diagonal because that's just the shape of my body. So I think I might make one more alteration on this so it fits a little more snug. But I sewed it inside out just as a dart, which is just a fancy word for making something a little bit smaller. I tested it and I felt like it was a little too tight, so I did make it looser. And then I cut the excess fabric off and it was all good to go. I just adjusted the straps one more time so they looked all nice and neat, and the top was done. I think I'm going to make it a little bit tighter, like I said before, because I think it'll fit better, more snugly. Now I've been trying to fix this top for about 9 months, and I don't have the original, but it looked like this. And it is a Liz Claiborne top, and I wanted to make it a little more modern, so I wanted to do a scrunchy style top. So there's already a hem at the bottom that has a hole that's perfect for elastic. So I cut some slits where the seam met and attached a safety pin to a piece of elastic to test to see how much elastic I was going to need to wrap around my body and make it look like a little scrunchie. So using a safety pin is really handy because you can get it all the way through without getting the elastic lost, which is really nice. So here I am just moving the elastic through and doing the little scrunchie test. And I made sure to cut both sides of the seam so that it could go all the way through. And of course I was only able to do this on one side, so I had to make my own on the other. So I just copied the measurements to make another little sock scrunchy piece at the top for another piece of elastic. I did the same elastic process on the top and hand sewed the holes closed, and my top came out perfect. This is my favorite one out of all 4 of the pieces that I did. It's so cute. I'm gonna wear it so much. I always thought that because of my body size or my shoulders or whatever, that strapless tops were just not meant for me and my body, but now that I've tried one on, I know that that is absolutely not true. It is so cute, it's really comfortable, and it actually stays in place really well, which I was kind of shocked by. So I'm really excited to get to wear this summer. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and some of the tops that I made. I hope that you learned how to do something from this video. With all this free time that we have, this is a great time to edit your wardrobe. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!